The big success with autoplay, video in the stream, what do you make of all of it, and is it surprising to you the success that it's had, or do you see it as being successful?
Oh, it's absolutely successful. It's following the Facebook game plan, which is, hey, here's a category we're not doing something in. Let's dominate it within 6 weeks simply by dint of our existing scale, right? So starting with 4 years ago when they said, photos. I wonder if we should put photos on here. And within weeks, they were bigger than Flickr and Snapfish and everything else that was out there. They have 1 billion users, so you put some video in there, it's going to get the eyeballs. They got really lucky, though, in that just as they were thinking about putting advertising video on there, the Ice Bucket Challenge came. I mean, the timing couldn't have been any better. And suddenly, everyone is uploading video. Everyone's expecting and getting used to seeing autoplay video in their streams. So by the time advertising came along, it was just another thing that you see in your Facebook stream, in the newsfeed. I think that in fact, you may have seen at Cannes, the Ice Bucket Challenge won, a lion, and it was Facebook who submitted that. They had nothing to do with it. They didn't fund it. They didn't make the creative for it. It just happened on Facebook. But they recognized the incredible value it had to themselves, and so they bankrolled the submission, and they won an award for it, and good for them.
So what's the opportunity for your clients on Facebook in this setting, particularly around video and the form factor that is working, and where do things stand right now for you, for your agency?
Sure. Well, our clients have an insatiable appetite for video. We know that. We've seen that across every platform. And as broadcast shrinks, and even now cable shrinking, they have to find that video somewhere. Nothing has replaced the sight, sound, and motion of video. So when suddenly you have a platform as big as Facebook offering video as well, wow, it's just, it's Christmas early, right? I think the only challenges that come with it are making sure that we can combine video with the kind of targeting capabilities that Facebook provides. And finally, we can't control the context of the video in Facebook. It's always in stream. This is opposed to ads on YouTube or certainly on broadcast and other platforms. So we have to be careful about where that video shows up. Just one bad content adjacency can scuttle an entire campaign. So that's the only caveat I'd say about the ultimate success of that platform.
So are there any controls around that, or guarantees, or it's just sort of the luck of the draw?
I'm really not sure. Certainly, all the platforms say that it'll never happen and not to worry about it, which I think is a naive approach generally, because it eventually does happen every time. Give it enough time, just like every hard drive will fail. Every campaign, give it enough time, will show up next to some unreasonable content that our advertisers don't want to be next to. And for us, the most important thing is not the assurances that it won't happen, but rather, what is the process by which you will fix this as rapidly as possible with as much sort of crisis management quickly so that it'll go away and we can move on. We appreciate when our platforms can be a little bit more honest about that and say, okay, it'll happen and here's what we'll do about it, and we've got you covered.
Now, Ben, you spoke recently at the Snapchat sales group. Tell us about Snapchat, the appeal there for advertisers.
Oh, what an audience, right? 100 million young millennials who are spending ungodly amounts of time on Snapchat. This is an audience for which almost every brief that comes across our desk is targeted. And we have a platform that just talks to them, and in a way that people who aren't in that category just simply can't comprehend. And to be able to have that platform there, I mean, if we could have invented it, we would have done so just to reach those people, because there's so much waste outside of it. It's a great platform for reaching them. The vertical video is fascinating. I haven't yet seen the data to support the claim that young millennials are too lazy to turn their phone 90 degrees, but it's possible. I'd like to think the millennials have a little bit more fortitude than that. That said, it's been very interesting to follow it, that the ad products have come and gone more quickly than even Facebook did back in the day. I think they'll eventually land on a product that makes sense, that can be bought for longer periods of time instead of one shot in one day. The measurement will follow, the targeting will follow. Right now we sort of take their word for it that everybody who's on Snapchat is young, because we don't see anyone who's not young on Snapchat. But ultimately we're going to demand a little bit more accountability for that sort of thing.
So What about attribution modeling and ROI? I'm sure your clients are looking for this around advertising the social feed. You know, we're talking about Facebook, we're talking about Snapchat, talking about Twitter. Where does that stand, and are you satisfied with attribution modeling as it stands now?
It's getting there. You know, it goes sort of horizontally and vertically. So horizontally, the attribution modeling is, are we making sure we're capturing the same person across multiple platforms? That was going pretty well until mobile came along and kind of blew that up. It does help when you're on a consistent publisher like Facebook or AOL or Apple. They can do a little better. Amazon as well, having sort of a consistent user ID. So that's getting there. Vertical, we feel good about. That's the part that takes us from the ad exposure straight down to ultimately the purchase off shelf, right? And ultimately, whenever you talk about attribution, if it goes to a lead or a click, it's not that interesting until it gets to real business results. And we're finding even the social platforms, who at first were not interested in that kind of metric. They wanted to talk about likes and engagement. Engagement was the E word was the word of I'm sure to Mexico just a few years ago. Now we see Facebook hooking up with data logics. It sort of seems to be the way to go, and the data looks pretty good for that so far. So, and everyone is following that playbook. So they know the question is coming, right? It's only a matter of time before every advertiser says, okay, so I put $1 there. How many dollars are coming back in the aisle? And it's nice to see that that's no longer a fight. It's no longer a debate. It's okay, it's coming, and this is the day or this is the quarter that we're going to roll that out. Even Snapchat.
Wow, great. And finally, looking ahead, next 12 months, what do you think some of the most appealing media platforms will be for your clients, or what do you think is going to develop around social, mobile, video? Some thoughts about, what will be bubbling up?
What I expect to see in the next 6 to 9 months is a heated debate around identity versus intent. And this is fueled by the just explosive growth of mobile. The hockey stick just keeps getting more and more steep. It's kind of out of control. But there's kind of two camps, and we're seeing publishers go into these two camps, and I think that advertisers will follow, and I'm not sure where they'll break. So one camp is all about identity. Who is this person in mobile? How do we make sure it's the same person who's on their phone as they are watching their television or on their laptop or on their iPad, and you name it? Because the most important thing is knowing who that is. Is it Andy every time, or is it Andy 1, Andy 2, Andy 3? The other side of that divide is intent, which is who cares who they are? I don't care if it's Andy 1, Andy 2. All I care about is what do they want at this very moment, because mobile is a utility. It's a search box disguised as a mobile phone. And if it's all about intent, then I need to make sure I know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and then provide them an answer right away, regardless of who they are. And some companies are better at that. Companies that can track, well, for example, Google is pretty good at that. YouTube should be pretty good at that. Identity is a little stronger on, or significantly stronger on, say, the Facebook side, or Instagram. So that's the part that's going to be really interesting as mobile forces advertisers to pick what's more important to me, who I'm advertising to or what they want. And I'm not sure that in the next year or so we'll be able to get both.